On behalf of Eldora Speedway and Motorsport Video, welcome to the most prestigious dirt late model race in history, the 35th running of the World 100. Hello everyone, I'm Rick Eshelman. Last night, 217 drivers took to the half-mile high banks for their hot lap and qualifying sessions, and in hot laps, three-time World 100 champion Scott Bloomquist lost control in turn number 3, hit the wall to be collected by a young man, Chris Elling. Bloomquist's car was a total loss, not able to compete in qualifying. However, your fastest qualifier out of those 217 last night went to the Newport Nightmare, Jimmy Owens out of Newport, Tennessee, turning a lap of 15.565 seconds, a new World 100 qualifying record. On stage last night, Jimmy Owens and second fast qualifier Shane Clanton were on board to pull the pill for the inversion of the heat races. As Shane Clanton witnessed, Jimmy Owens pulled the number 3, so the inversion is 3 for the 6 qualifying heats coming up just a little bit later. Once the inversion was drawn last evening, we went to 3 non-qualifier races for qualifying positions, 121 through 192 for those drivers that did not make the 120th fastest, and we're going to that action now. Ready to start the first of 3 non-qualifier races for drivers that qualified in positions 121 through 192. These are the drivers that will be racing tonight, 15 laps, and the coveted trophy of the non-qualifiers here at Eldora Speedway, the 35th Annual World 100. On the pole, Aaron Babs out of Jackson, Ohio in the 43s, flanked by Ryan Gorey in 23. Joe Harlan in the Z Machine and Greg Lucas in 22. Gary Richard in the 64, Nick Bocook in 1, Jeff Glisson in 12, Ryan Vanderveen in 23V, Mark Barber in 11, Tom Hall in 6H, Chucky May in 28, Evan Lentz in 14, Daniel Bohall 02, Devin Sabri 118, Clint Jamison 03, Joe Overmeyer 29, Jay and Scott Duvall in 87. 18 cars answering the bell for non-qualifier number 1, and green flag is out. Here we go. Field storms off into turn 1. They go 3 wide on the high side. It's Ryan Gorey with the lead. Falling into that second spot, it's Greg Lucas, but Aaron Babs on the move. Side by side into turn number 3. Lucas on the outside, Babs on the inside. Lap number 1 will go to Ryan Gorey in 23. Now a battle between Joe Harlan, Ryan Vanderveen in 23B, and Mark Barber in 11, Chucky May in 28. Vanderveen, a youngster out of Michigan, taking the spot away from the veteran Mark Barber in 11. Second generation driver Ryan Vanderveen getting the job done early in this non-qualifier event. 2 laps in the book. As the car's drifting up by the wall, we got caution in turn 4. The 02 of Daniel Bohall, the 118 of Devin Sabri bring on our first caution of the evening. Single file on the restart. Ryan Gorey leading Greg Lucas, Aaron Babs, Nick Bocook, and Gary Richard out of turn number 4. Green flag waves, back underway. Lucas, the veteran, dives underneath Ryan Gorey. Nothing doing in turn number 2. Now, Aaron Babs will make the move underneath Lucas. He'll take the number 2 spot away. It's Aaron Babs now closing in on leader Ryan Gorey as they work out of that 4th corner. Lucas battles back on the outside. Greg Lucas gains the spot. He lost in turn 2. Almost jumped the cushion, and Aaron Babs not able to take advantage. Field working her way down the backstretch. Again, the 11 of Mark Barber, the 28 of Chucky May, 23V of Ryan Vanderveen, the Z of Joe Harlan, all doing battle mid-pack. Chucky May looks to the inside of Mark Barber now in turn number 2. Gets a good bite down low, but can't hold him off. Field storming into that 3rd corner. Still everybody jockeying for position early. It's 5 go in the book. Up front. Again, it's the 22 of Lucas. Giving chase and getting around Ryan Gorey. So Greg Lucas now the leader. He pushes up the bank. Gorey had to get on the minors. Keeps his composure. He'll go at it again in turn number 4. Ryan Gorey low. Greg Lucas up high. Lucas will lead lap number 6. Now Aaron Babs is close again on 2nd place. Ryan Gorey. Gorey a handful of steering wheel. Nowhere for Aaron Babs to go. He'll tuck back in line. Now step to the outside. Babs up by the wall. Gary Richard closing in all the while as the laps continue to tick away. Out of turn number 4, Nick Bocook, along with the 23V of Ryan Vanderveen. 2 youngsters going at it hard. Contact with Mark Barber as he gets in into the rear quarter of Vanderbeek. They all keep it pointed straight down the backstretch and into turn number 3. 5 cars battling for the number 5 spot as they work out of turn number 4. Halfway, 8 and 7 to go. That battle for 5th wages on as Ryan Corey now closes in on the 1 machine of Nick Bocook. That's Ryan Vanderveen at 23 feet. Bocook in 1, Mark Barber in 11, Joe Harlan in the Z machine. All 5 drivers giving chase to the leaders. Nick Bocook holding them off as they continue to do battle in turn number 2. Young Ryan Vanderveen working the center groove. Down the front stretch comes that battle for the number 3 spot. It's Gary Richard at 64 running 3rd, the 23 of Ryan Gorey running 4th. Jeff Glisson off the pace in the number 12 machine. Leaders come out of turn number 4. Now traffic is in front of them. Scott DeBall, first car to go a lap in arrears in the 87. Greg Lucas works the high side on Joe Overmeyer, nowhere to go. Now he'll dive underneath the 29J. Tom Hall also right there. Here comes Aaron Babston, 43. Babs on the rear deck lid. 12 laps in the books. 3 remaining. Babs goes for the lead. Slide job in turn 1. Aaron Babs took a wild movement from Tom Hall and it paid off for him. He put some distance between himself and second place Greg Lucas. They work out of turn number 4. 2-lap signal given to the field. It'll be white flag the next time by. Wild, not qualifier number 1 in progress. Nick Bocook showing the way for Ryan Vanderbeek, Mark Barber, and Chucky May, who goes to the inside. They go 3 wide in turn 2. White flag coming out to the leaders. Aaron Babs showing away. The 22 machine running 2nd of Greg Lucas. Then it's a 3rd place car of Gary Richard. Running 4th, it's Ryan Gorey. Final corner, Aaron Babs. He'll take heat. Not qualifier number 1. 2nd will go to the 22 of Greg Lucas. 3rd will go to Gary Richard. 4th will go to Ryan Gorey. 5th spot will go to Nick Bocook in the number 1. And the driver out of Jackson, Ohio picks up his first ever non-qualifier here at Eldora Speedway. The 43 of Aaron Babs. He'll head to the scales before he comes to victory lane. Here we go with non-qualifier race number 2. Ted Nobby on the pole in the 9N. Jesse James Lay out of Walton, Kentucky. We'll start on the outside of the front row. Darrell Scott in 12X. Brett Wyatt, the young first-year sensation in 17W. Devin Shields in 51. Scheduled to go. Hooper Bear in 00. Dave Kirker in 22. Josh Ferguson in 2F. Bill Williams and Josh Bocook. Eric Smith and Jeff Simmons. Scott Edmonston and Rick Bond. Interesting in not qualifier number 2, young April Farmer, 27-year-old, the only lady in the field this weekend. She'll be in this second non-qualifier event, 15 laps in length, and they are ready to go side by side in turn 4. Green flag waves and we're underway with non-qualifier number 2. The field storms into turn 1. Jesse Lay will take the lead. Nobby with a handful of steering wheel. That opened up the door for young Josh Bocook. Nothing doing trouble in turn number 1. 3 cars turned around, one of them April Farmer in the 14 machine as she sits sideways. Looks also like Jeff Razor in the 55R. And the caution flag is out. Complete restart to the field. The cars involved in that opening lap skirmish in turn 1, Kyle the Animal Shear, April Farmer, Joe Ramey, none of those drivers returning to action. We'll go green again, still 15 laps to go, and we are underway. This time into turn number 1, Ted Nobby will lead the field through the corner. Jesse Lay 2nd, young Brett Wyatt running 3rd. Darrell Scott 4th, Josh Ferguson rounding out the top 5 as the leaders make their way into turn 4. Side by side, but once again pulling out front. Trouble in turn number 3. It's Dave Kirker at 22 moving the machine. Car sitting dead planted on the bottom of turns 3 and 4, and the caution flag comes out. Ready for the restart with 1 lap complete, 14 remaining. Ted Nobby brings Jesse James Lay, Brett Wyatt, Darrell Scott, and Josh Ferguson out of turn 4. Green flag waves once again underway. Field gets into turn 1. Josh Ferguson goes to work in the 2F machine. He'll take over that number 4 spot, and there goes Ted Nobby. Battling with the 33 of of Jesse Lay. Lay claiming the lead now as they work their way out of turn 4 to complete the second time around. It's Jesse Lay, Ted Nobby, Brett Wyatt, Josh Ferguson, Daryl Scott in the battle between Jeff Simmons at 66 and Devin Shields in the 51. And trouble in that first corner, losing the right front wheel. Brandon Perkins in the 88 machine. He's come to rest on top of turn number 2 and the caution flag comes out. Field nose to tail on the restart, looking for green this time by Jesse Lay, the new leader. After swapping the lead with Ted Nobby on the first 2 laps of this event, still 13 remaining. Field nice and slow this time coming out of turn number 4, single file order. They take the green and back they go into turn 1. Josh Ferguson diving underneath Brett Wyatt, trying to grab the number 3 position away. Won't get it done out of turn number 2. Down the back stretch, they battle nose to tail and side by side. In that third corner, way up high, Devin Shields up by the wall as the leaders come down the front chute. Everybody chasing down. Your leader right now is Jeff Simmons at 66, Devin Shields at 51, Rick Bond at 007. All battling for the number 7 position. Shields to the inside of Simmons. Young Devin Shields will do the slide job in turn number 4. He'll make it stick as he holds off Jeff Simmons. Shields picking up the number 5 position. Now it's Josh Bocook battling with Bill Williams. Bocook in the B1 and Williams in 17. Bocook will hold him off coming out of turn number 2. Scotty Edmonston at 7 also closing the gap on that battle. They'll work it out of turn number 4. Down the front chute they come. It's Ted Nobby chasing Jesse Lay with the lead, but it's Chris Winters in the X machine. Jim Belker Jr. at 43, Steve Lance Jr. at 25. All doing battle in the back of the pack. 6 laps in the books and 9 to go as Jesse James Lay is starting to close in on that battle at the back of the field, and he will have to tiptoe through the slower traffic. Chris Winters in the X, Jim Belker Jr. in the 43, Steve Lance Jr. in 25, continuing to go back and forth, swapping positions. It'll be halfway the next time by for the leader, Jesse James Lay in the 33. Simmons, Rick Bond, and a 12X of Daryl Scott having a battle of their own as they work it down the backstretch and getting pinched off. Rick Bond at 007. Daryl Scott in a 12X pinched him up by the wall. They keep it all pointed in the right direction. We are halfway through the event, 8 and 7 to go. Josh Bocook in the B1 with right rear spoiler damage. He'll lose the spot to Bill Williams at 17. Felker at 43, Lance at 25, and the one machine of Zellner all going at it side by side. Try to go 3 wide on a turn number 4. They thought better of that. And Zellner holding off the 25 of Steve Lance Jr. Third and final non-qualifier event has Junior Schickel on the pole in S10, Larry Pickelheimer Jr. in 10, Darren Friedman in 89, Steve Smith in 3, Jason Keltner in the 0, Robert Hensley in 21, Don Hammer in 45, J.D. Lease in 44, Barry Bragdon and Steve Warren. The field comes out of 4 for green, and the third non-qualifier is underway. Darren Friedman will win the drag race into turn number 1. He'll bring Robert Hensley along with him. Larry Pickelheimer back to 3rd. Don Hammer up to 4th. It's Damon Eller 5th. Down the back stretch and into 3. Hammer to the outside of Pickelheimer. Hammer will nail down that 3rd spot. Pickelheimer in the jar in 4th. Then it's Damon Eller running in 5th. The headman, Mike Head in the C.J. Rayburn entry, running 6th. Tracy Grimes running 7th. Steve Summer Jr. going to the inside of Grimes. They'll battle for the number 7 spot now as they work their way in turn number 4. Out of that 4th corner they come. Leaders already in the turns 1 and 2. It's Damon Eller holding off the veteran, the headman, Mike Head in the 1 CJ. Steve Shepard Jr. look to the outside. Now try the switch move down to the inside. Shepard goes inside the headman. He'll go wheel to wheel, door to door out of that 4th corner. Give the spot to the veteran, Mike Head in the 1 CJ. machine. They'll both chase young David Eller out of Crumpler, North Carolina in the I-4. He holds down the number 5 position. 4 laps in the books as those 3 cars continue to battle for the number 5 spot. It's still David Eller, Mike Head, and Steve Shepard Jr. in that order. Eller continuing to run a solid race in the 5th spot. Zach Davis looks underneath his running mate, Tracy Grimes, as they go wheel to wheel and door to door down the back chute and into turn 3. Give the advantage to Tracy Grimes, but it's young Zach Davis on the move, on the bottom, down the front stretch. As the leaders work their way around down the front chute goes Darren Freeman, closing in on the slower car of Scott Goings, and up in the wall, the 21 of Robert Hensley throws the sparks but continues on. Hensley chasing the leader, and the caution flag will come out on the racetrack. Caution is out. Debris reported in the corner, so caution flag will come up. It sits at the top of right between turns 1 and 2 with 6 laps in the books. Field tucks in behind each other's deck lid as your leader. Freeman brings it out of turn number 4. He'll get the green flag. We're back underway. Darren Freeman gets a good jump on the field that time. Everybody has to play catch up right away. Damon Eller got the challenge from Mike Head, but on the move it's Don Hammer. Hammer claws his way towards that 2nd spot as they work out of the 4th corner. It's Darren Freeman, Robert Hensley, Don Hammer, Damon Eller once again getting some pressure from the 1CJ of Mike Head. And using his brain to figure out how to get around the I-4 machine of Eller. It'll be halfway this time by 8 and 7 remaining. Towards the back of the pack, some good battles going on between Mike Stenzel and the 10S of Scheffler. In trouble in turn number 1. A car on the wall, 44 of J.D. Lease, and that'll bring the caution out at the halfway point. Field working their way through turn 3 at the halfway point. Darren Freeman brings them out of the 4th corner, back underway in the 3rd and final non-qualifier event. Right away, Mike Head goes to work on the I-4 of Damon Eller. And gets a little bit of a tap from Eller, but he keeps it pointed in the right direction. So Mike Head takes over the number 4 spot. Eller back to 5th. All of a sudden, Tracy Grimes can smell that number 5 spot as he tries to close in on the young man out of North Carolina. It's Tracy Grimes, Mike Stenzel, the 01 of Zach Davis, and bring along George Scheffler for the ride. 4 cars battling for the number 6 spot. Stenzel got pushed up by the wall. That opened the door for Scheffler. He'll go 3 wide in that 4th quarter. Nobody giving up an inch. Give the advantage to George Scheffler in the 10S. He'll look underneath Tracy Grimes now, tucks back in his tire tracks. Grimes pulls away clean, but gets wiped up down the backstretch. It's Scheffler picking up now the number 6 position. So George Scheffler came from the back of the pack, has worked his way into the 6th spot. And it's Tracy Grimes. Mike Stenzel has designs on Tracy Grimes now as he takes a look to the outside. Zach Davis will follow along and watch the battle take place in front of him. Stenzel trying to trace the line down on the bottom of the racetrack. Can't get anything done. Grimes will stay ahead of him just 1 position. All of a sudden, Curtis Dyson-Roth puts his name into the hat. He'll work on Zach Davis on the outside of turn 2. It's white flag the next time by Darren Freeman with almost a full straightaway lead on 2nd place, Robert Hensley. Field works their way out of 4th. Stenzel took a daring move coming out of that 4th corner. Looks underneath Tracy Grimes. Grimes will hold him off. Gets sideways. Here comes Dyson-Roth and Davis. Double D's behind that battle up front. They work into that 3rd and 4th corner. Leader Darren Freeman already in turn 3. Checkered flag away this time. Darren Freeman goes the victory lane. 2nd position across the line is Robert Hensley. 3rd to Larry Pickelheimer. 4th goes to the 1CJ of Mike Head. 5th will go to Damon Eller in I-4 as the rest of the field works out of 4. Grimes on a handball of steering wheel. Davis, Stenzel, Dyson-Roth, and Nick Berry all taking evasive action. but Darren Friedman picking up his first ever checker flag at Eldora Speedway in fine style to close out night number 1 of the 35th annual World 100 from here at Eldora Speedway. First time in 35 years, the World 100 will have a change in the format, as we will continue with the 6 qualifying heats with 20 cars locked into each of those heats. After those heat events, the 2 fastest qualifiers that did not make it will transfer to the World 100, but from that point it changes. Now finishing positions 4 through 11 in the heats will go to 2 B mains, where the top 4 finishers from each B main will then go to the World 100, giving it a brand new starting field of 28 cars for this prestigious event. The drivers are making their final preparations in the pit area, getting ready for those 6 qualifying heats. We'll return in a moment with that exciting action. This is what we've all been waiting for, the 35th annual World 100 qualifying heat race number 1, 15 laps in length. The top 3 finishers go to the prestigious classic. Brad Dean on the pole out of Kentucky in the 41. Chumpzilla, defending World 100 winner Jump Frank out of Bear Lake, Pennsylvania, outside the front row. Fast qualifier, the Newport Nightmare Jimmy Owens out of Newport, Tennessee in 20. The Hurricane Earl Pearson Jr. in the 1 machine out of Jacksonville, Florida. Elder statesman of the Conley clan, Delmas Conley out of Wheelersburg, Ohio in 71. His son R.J. Conley in 71C. Jerry Bowersock in 95J, and Wendell Wallace, the Batesville Bullet in 88. Timmy Yeager in R25, the Rustbuster Rusty Schlenk in 91. Wes Steininger, Rick Corbin, Josh Williams. The Kentucky Colonel Steve Francis, Tim Hitt, Tony Marks, Jeff Floyd, Hillard Miller, Randy Boggs, and Tim Stemler. Heat race number 1 is underway. Green flag is out. Into turn 1, Chumpzilla up on the top side, and in the wall, Earl Pearson Jr. He gets tagged by Rusty Schlenk and Rick Corbin. The caution flag is out. The Hurricane may be the first victim of this 35th annual classic. The field once again ready to do battle. Earl Pearson Jr., the only casualty of the incident in turn 1. Rusty Schlenk in 91, Rick Corbin in 9, both with right rear spoiler damage after contacting with the Hurricane. They're lined up side by side, 2 abreast, out of turn 4. Green flag waves and we are underway. Jump Frank working the high side as he did earlier on. Close quarters for Jerry Bowersock. Nevertheless, the field works its way down the back chute. Field heading into turn 3 for the first time. Chuck Frank will bring him out of 4 as the leader. Good side-by-side action as the Kentucky Colonel Steve Francis will lead the R25 of Timmy Yeager, Rusty Schlenk, and the 1 of Wes Steininger. Up front, a good battle going on between Wendell Wallace and Delmas Conley. That'll be for the number 5 position. Wallace, the Batesville Bullet, will bring him down the front chute. Into that first and second corner is now R.J. Conley. Finds himself in 4th, working on 3rd place Jimmy Owens. That is the final transferring position. Caution flag coming out. Yellow flag on the speedway as both Rick Corbin in 9, Rusty Schlenk in 91 bring their damaged race cars pit side. They have them on pit road. Both cars who tagged Earl Pearson early are now sitting on pit road and potentially out of this event. Ready to go green, Randy Boggs involved with Rick Corbin and Rusty Schlenk. Those 3 cars out of competition. 2 laps in the books, green flag waves. Heat race number 1 back underway. As the field storms into 1, it's Jimmy Owens making the move. He'll grab the number 3 spot away from R.J. Conley. Conley back to 4th. Wendell Wallace 5th. And Delmas Conley running at 6th there. 3 wide in turn 4. They get 4 wide as Steve Francis used the bottom. World 100 champion of years gone by, Steve Francis gets around Delmas Conley. That'll put him up in the number 6 spot. Not good enough to transfer as of yet. But Francis continues on the move. He'll work that low bar out of turn 4. Down the front chute and into 1. Good battle now for 2nd, and Jimmy Owens, the fast qualifier, has the advantage on Kentucky's Brad Dean. He'll put him 1 position in arrears. As now Jimmy Owens has worked his way into the number 2 spot. Dean back to 3rd. R.J. Conley 4th, and Steve Francis continuing to work on a smoking Wendell Wallace. He'll get by Wendell. Wendell in trouble. The Batesville Bullet slowing down on the backstretch. Motor problem. Sideline even out. Francis starts the smoke in turn number 4. Steve Francis having mechanical problems. That car's starting to shut down as he goes into turn 1. Francis has lost the spot. Wallace is out of the event. turn one. 8 laps in the books. It's the halfway point, 7 to go. Jimmy Owens starting to reel him in as they head down the back, shooting into 3. Now Frank has to take evasive action to get around the slower car, Tim Stepler. John Frank showing away, but Jimmy Owens in his tire tracks. It's a 2-car length advantage for the defending World 100 winner. The best qualifier World 100 track record holder, Jimmy Owens, is reeling him in. Down the front chute and into 1. Chuck Frank has the preferred line. Jimmy Owens is content to ride in those tire tracks in second. They'll work their way down the back chute into 3. Owens gaining ground with every passing lap. They're coming up now on the slower car. Josh Williams into JJ2. He'll be the next car to go a lap down. Owens jumped the cushion, lost 2 car lengths to the race leader, Chuck Frank. It'll be 3 to go this time by when Chuck Frank brings them across the line. Frank closing in as Hillard Miller slows down. He's off the pace and out of the event. Josh Williams in front of the leaders. Jimmy Owens sees a gap. Can he take advantage? Will he have enough time? He'll get the 2-lap to go signal this time as Williams strips up the bank. Chuck Frank trying to tiptoe around him. Jimmy Owens closing the gap. White flag the next time by for Chubzilla, Jimmy Owens and Brandy. Those 3 cars are right now locked into a transfer spot. Frank underneath Josh Williams. Out of 4, can't make the pass. White flag is out. 1 lap to go. Owens content to run in that second spot as he is still closing the gap on Chubzilla, who can't get around Josh Williams. Shovel dive underneath and slide job in turn number 4. It'll pay off. Chubzilla goes to the World 100. Jimmy Owens second. Third go to Brandy. They're in the big dance. Then it's R.J. Conley, Delmas Conley, Wes Steidinger, Jerry Bowersock, Tim Hitt, Tony Marks, Jeff Floyd, and Tim Stepler. Winning heat race number 1, the defending World 100 winner out of Bear Lake, Pennsylvania in the Lester Buildings, Corey Rubber Corporation, Rocket Chassis, Chubzilla, Chuck Frank. Heat race number 2, set for green. Kid Rocket, Josh Richards in the 1. He'll be flanked by Chadwick, Illinois, the Thriller, Darren Miller in 32D. Shane Clanton in 25, racing John Mason in 72. Matt Miller in 7. Dan Schleifer and Rodney Combs, Tate Davenport, Timmy McCready, George Lee II, Dwayne Chamberlain, Jay Johnson, Brady Smith, Randy Weaver, Jason Montgomery, Michael Chilton, Anthony Adams, Donnie Moran, Jamie Elam, and David Webb. Heat race number 2, set to go 15 laps. The green is out and they're underway. Darren Miller gets the early lead. Kid Rocket the second. Tate Davenport in the wall. Drivers taking evasive action. Everybody comes out unscathed. We stay under green. They're 3 wide down the backstretch. Brady Smith got pinched off down on the bottom. Field really running wild out of turn number 4. John Mason with a handful of steer wheel into 72. Rodney Combs, George Lee, Brady Smith all right there with him. George Lee, the general, up in the wall coming out of turn 2. Now trouble down the backstretch. Tate Davenport and George Laney get in the wall. It's Chuck Laney in 91, Tate Davenport in the 6. Both drivers with severely damaged cars. And they could be 2 casualties from heat race number 2. Something had to give when Lee got into the wall. They checked up. Chuck Laney and Tate Davenport pay the price. Field just about ready for green. As out of the race, Michael Chilton actually in the 97. Tate Davenport at 6. Both sidelines. We're back underway with 1 lap in the books. Darren Miller leads the field into turn 1. Then it's a who's going to take second. It's Josh Richards, Shane Clanton, Matt Miller now going to work on Dan Schleifer. So the Dream 100 winner this year and a former World 100 winner battle it out for the number 4 position. Down the front chute, now Timmy McCready has joined that battle for the number 4 spot as T-Mac has aspirations of getting in the easy way. They'll go single file down the back chute and into 3. It's Schleifer at 4th, Miller at 5th, McCready at 6th. T-Mac goes underneath that Miller, nothing to it, coming out of 4 and heading down the front chute into 1. Again, McCready will go to work, but the caution flag is out on the racetrack. Caution flag coming out. As George Lee, the general, pulls up lame at 21. Also, David Webb at 13W going to the pit area. And the right front is caved in on the general's car. So George Lee II will be the latest victim from heat race number 2. Field ready for the restart. 3 laps in the books, 12 to go. Darren Miller, Josh Richards, Shane Clanton, Dan Schleifer, and Matt Miller, the top 5. Green flag waves. Everybody back to full power as they storm off into turns 1 and 2. Darren Miller showing away. Josh Richards second. Shane Clanton third. Ronnie Combs in a battle now. He's going to look to step around Tim McCready as the veteran going to work on the sophomore. He'll dispose of him in turn number 4. McCready smacks the wall coming out of 4. Now Timmy McCready finds himself behind the 8 ball. The veteran Ronnie Combs showing signs of moonlight. He'll go to work on Matt Miller. That'll be for the number 4 position. Ronnie Combs has the setup and it's working for him here this evening in E-race number 3. He continues to put pressure on. A little further back to $1 Million Man Donnie Moran. Takes a look underneath. WDRL champion Brady Smith can't make the pass happen in turn 2, so he'll tuck back in line. Field now already working her way through the 3rd quarter. Donnie Moran started in the number 18 spot. He's worked his way into the 8th position. Going to look again at the rear deck lid of Brady Smith, so Miranda car to move the caution flag. Waves at the 12th machine of the one-man show. Jamie Elam, right front suspension damage on the 12, and he will fall by the wayside with 6 laps in the books. Field looking for green once again as single file order comes out of turn 4. The high-speed line dance back in action. Green flag is out. They fire up into the 1st quarter. Again, up top. Matt Miller riding the high side out of turn 2. He can hear the roar of Rodney Combs' engine as Combs will dive it underneath Miller. Slide job in turn 3. He'll take the spot away, so Rodney Combs now picks up the number 5 spot. Timmy McCready in hot pursuit. He'll try and close the gap on Matt Miller. Saw how it was done by the veteran Rodney Combs. Here comes the $1 Million Man, Donnie Moran, a head full of steam. The SMS power plant working at both songs. He'll get around Brady Smith. Moran sets his sights now on T-Mac Timmy McCready as Moran steps in up top. He'll climb the ladder, go to the attic, and try and pull down yet another position. Working his way from the 18th starting hole. They'll go 3 wide on the floor. Number 8 tucks in line. It's McCready on the move. He and Matt Miller go wheel to wheel, door to door in 1. McCready makes the move, but here comes Rodney Combs. Combs taking a look at the back deck lid of the Wisconsin Wildman Dan Schleifer. Combs draws a bead on him out of turn number 4. Schleifer will hold him off. They'll take that battle into turn 1. The battle goes on for the 4th spot between Combs and Dan Schleifer. Shane Clanton in the 3rd and final transfer position. Field starting to stretch out now, around a half-mile high banks as Combs looks underneath Dan Schleifer. Rodney Combs driving 20 years younger. Can't make the pass. High side momentum will keep Schleifer up top. Schleifer still running in the number 4 spot. It's Combs in 5th, McCready in 6th. Down the front chute into 1 comes the rest of the field. Donnie Moran got around Matt Miller. Next one in line, the one of Dwayne Chamberlain. Donnie Moran continues his assault on the field. 2 laps to go this time by as Darren Miller crosses the line. 2nd place, Josh Richards. 3rd place, Shane Clanton. But he's got company in the form of Dan Schleifer and Rodney Combs. Clanton on the bubble. Schleifer and Combs on the outside looking in. It'll be white flag this time by 1 to go. It's Miller and Brent Richards. Clanton hanging on for dear life the 3rd. The battle continues on for 4th between Combs and Schleifer. They'll continue side by side down the back chute. Checker flag is going to wave this time. It goes to the thriller Darren Miller. 2nd will go to Kid Rocket Josh Richards. 3rd goes to Shane Clanton. Close at the line. 4th Schleifer. 5th Rodney Combs and Timmy McCready. Dwayne Chamberlain, Donnie Moran, Matt Miller, Brady Smith, Randy Weaver, John Mason, Jay Johnson, and Jason Montgomery picking up the win of heat race number 2, the driver out of Chadwick, Illinois. The Soyber Cab Ranch's Napa Auto Parts, Outpace Race Products, Rocket Chassis of the thriller Darren Miller. 3 finds the wild thing. Greg Johnson on the pole in 19. Shannon Babb, Jimmy Mars, Rick Eckert, Jeremy Williams, Ray Cook, Kevin Weaver, Darrell Lanigan, Skip Barb, Steve Hillard, Terry Phillips, Dennis Franklin, Casey Noonan, Audie McWilliams, Steve Barnett, Rod Conley, Garrett Durrett, Mike Collins, Kelly Bowen, Eric Jacobson. Field comes down for green. It's underway. Johnson and Babb lead the field into 1 and 2. It's Shannon Babb grabbing the early lead. Now Rick Eckert going to work on that third spot. He's got Ray Cook and Jimmy Mars along with him. Eckert looks underneath. The number 19 of Greg Johnson for the number 2 spot. It won't happen. Jimmy Mars getting pressured out from Darrell Lanigan. They'll battle for the 5th position. As the field works their way out of turn 2 down the backstretch, Lanigan loses pace. Steve Hillard in the 34 closes the gap now on Darrell Lanigan. Hillard almost up into the wall. Up front, Rick Eckert running in third. Tries to get the number 2 spot away from Greg Johnson. It won't happen out of turn 2. Johnson will pull him down the back chute. It's Babb, Johnson, Eckert in transfer spots. Ray Cook, Jimmy Mars, Steve Hillard and Lanigan on the outside looking in. Eckert will take the Ray Best excavating rocket chassis underneath the wild thing. Greg Johnson one more time. Nothing doing. Strum can't make the pass. And trouble up in turn number 2. Darrell Lanigan contact. And also paying the price, Garrett Durrett in the 58C. The driver out of Simsboro, Louisiana, getting in the wall. That all started when Audie McWilliams and Darrell Lanigan made contact. Durrett checked up and nowhere to go. Tagged the wall in turn number 2. Green flag set to come out with 3 in the books, 12 remaining. It's Babb, Johnson, Eckert, Cook, and Mars, the top 5. The old storm off into that first corner. Everybody chasing down the full equal missile, Shannon Babb. Right now, Greg Johnson continues to hold off the advances of Rick Eckert and now Ray Cook. The Tar Heel Tiger out of Brasstown, North Carolina will throw his hat into the ring to be one of those 3 transferring cars. Eckert looks underneath Johnson in 1. Johnson right up on the wall, but the high side momentum keeps Rick Eckert at bay. Greg Johnson driving a stellar race early on in a car out of Mississippi. Greg Johnson out of Bedford, Indiana, getting it done early. Steve Hillard going to work now on the Iceman, Jimmy Mars. As Hillard got pitched off by a wall, had nowhere to go, so had to tuck back in line, regroup himself in turn 3. Hillard will try it on the bottom. He'll look underneath Mars, coming out of turn number 4. Nothing doing that time for the Northern All-Stars Late Model Series champion. Hillard works on the 28 of Jimmy Mars to no avail. Mars running in the number 5 spot. Every position so valuable during this World 100 format. The cars work their way high out of turn number 4. Jeremy Williams in the 8 and Skip Arp in 31. They'll do battle in turns 1 and 2. As the 8 machine holding them off on the top side. Now Arp looks up by the wall. Tucks back in line. He'll go to work underneath Williams in turn 3. Try and stick the nose in coming out of 4. Williams will pinch him down on the racetrack. Arp has a good line on the bottom. Can't make the car stick enough to get the bite off the corner. He needs to get around Williams. Laps winding down, 9 in the book, 6 to go. The Flatlands Flash, Kevin Weaver, and defending Power Series champion Terry Phillips going at it tooth and nail through the second corner. Weaver gets the bite in, leaves Mars in a trailer dust. Phillips trying to reel in. Weaver can't do it. Arp still in a battle with Jeremy Williams. Separate battles going on all over the racetrack. This one's been a good one all race long. As Skip Arp again trying to get around Williams on the bottom. Can't make it happen. So Skip will tuck back in line. These two have been playing hopscotch back and forth as Skip Arp goes to work underneath Jeremy Williams again. They'll take the battle into turn number 1. Now it's the 10 of Audie McWilliams. They'll look underneath Hot Rod Conley coming out of 2, and Hot Rod will hold him off down the back chute and into 3. Field prepared to get the 2 to go single next time by. Shannon Babb, the leader, approaching heavy lap traffic. That's first one in line will be Garrett Durrett that brought out the last caution flag. It's 13 in and 2 to go for Shannon Babb. Greg Johnson, Rick Eckert, Ray Cook, and Jimmy Mars, the top 5. Now Babb works the center group of the racetrack coming out of 4. He'll see the white flag first as he comes out signaling 1 lap remaining in heat race number 3. The Mowequa Missile. Shannon Babb works his way down the backstretch. Closing in on Eric Jacobson out of Santa Cruz, California. Greg Johnson closing again. He'll run out of time. Shannon Babb wins heat race number 3. Greg Johnson and Rick Eckert go to the big dance. Then it's Ray Cook, Jimmy Marsh, Kevin Weaver. Out of turn number 4, it'll be Terry Phillips, Jeremy Williams, Skip Arp, Ron Conley, Darrell Lanigan, Huntington Williams, Dennis Franklin, Kelly Bowen, Garrett Durant, and Eric Jacobson. So picking up the win of heat race number 3, the UMP Summer Nationals champion out of Mowequa, Illinois, in the Car City, Carl Chevrolet. J&J Steel number 18, the Mowequa Missile, Shannon Babb. Lineup for heat race number 4 will look like this. The Juice Davey Johnson on the pole in 19J. The Cat Daddy Clint Smith in 44. 5-time World 100 winner Billy Moyer in 21. And Terry English in 96. Then it's John Gill and the Spider-Man Jeep Van Wormer, Brian Ruhlman, Chris Conley, Steve Casebolt Jr. and Mike Jewell, Brandon Kinzer and Dennis Erb, Johnny Johnson and Chris Combs, Dennis Rogerson, Bob Lanner, Wayne Chin, the Professor Rick Auckland, Dan Hort, and Josh McGuire. The lineup for heat race number 4. Field slowly working out of 4, looking for green. Jackrabbit start. Let's see what happens when they storm up to the turn number 1. 3 wide in that first corner. Who's going to come out on top? It'll be the Cat Daddy Clint Smith. Mr. Smooth Billy Moore second. Here comes Terry English. He's going to bring the Spider-Man Jeep Van Wormer along with him. They'll go side by side out of turn number 4. John Gill smack the wall. Davey Johnson working from the number 5 position. All of a sudden after starting on the front row, caution flag coming out. As Johnny Johnson out of West Burlington, Iowa brings out the first caution flag of heat race number 4. 1 lap in the books, 14 to go. It's Clint Smith, Billy Moyer, and Terry English with transfer spots. Then Davey Johnson, along with the 55 of Jeep Van Wormer, Brian Ruhlman, John Gill, Dennis Erb Jr. Green is out, back underway. Immediately Moyer goes to work on Cat Daddy. Clint Smith tries him on the bottom. Takes better of it, tucks back in line as they're 3 wide behind the leaders. 4 cars battling for position now in turn number 4. It's Jeep Van Wormer, Brian Ruhlman, John Gill, Dennis Erb Jr. They're in a blanket as they came out of that 4th corner. Gill looking underneath Brian Ruhlman. Can't get anything done there. Chris Conley is in the wall in 71H. Conley with heavy damage to the right side of the race car. He'll bring the caution flag out on lap number 2. Ready for green, Clint Smith, Billy Moyer, Terry English, Davey Johnson, and Jeep Van Wormer top 5. They'll be nose to tail on this restart. Clint Smith brings them in a nice smooth pace out of turn 4. Now matches the loud pedal, green flag waves. Back underway in heat race number 4. Jeep Van Wormer with a handful of steer wheel. It almost cost him his contact between John Gill and Brian Ruhlman. Van Wormer in trouble. Everybody scoots on by. As Jeep Van Wormer developed a problem in that second corner, wasn't able to keep control on a host of cars. Went by the Spider-Man, caught him in his own web. Now taking a look at getting a transfer spot, Brandon Kinzer, Steve Casebolt Jr., and Brian Ruhlman all battling. Casebolt leads that back in turn number 3 as Van Wormer slides up the bank. Dennis Erb Jr. takes evasive action. Now Erb will try and smoke it down in turn number 1. Dennis Erb Jr. and Jeep Van Wormer going at it tooth and nail. Van Wormer will get the spot back away. Up front, your leader, Clint Smith, Billy Moyer, and now third place, Davey Johnson. The Deuce squeezed English off in turn number 4, 1 lap ago, and now finds himself in a transfer spot. English on the outside looking at trying to pronounce consolation, because that may be where he's headed to. Clint Smith, the Cat Daddy, showing Billy Moyer the way around. Davey Johnson solidly in third. And it's Terry English. Those 4 cars are broken away. From 5th place, John Gill is Gill fishing for a spot in the feature event. 7 laps in, 8 to go. Halfway next time by. The top 4 ran away and hid from 5th place, John Gill. It's Clint Smith, Billy Moyer, Davey Johnson. Johnson with English on the outside looking in has yet to show the class of the field to get in this feature event. Hasn't been able to do so far as Brian Ruben and Steve Casebolt Jr. go at it. Ruben will hold Casebolt off for the number 6 position. Casebolt running 7th. It's Brandon Kitzer in 8th. Van Wormer 9th and Dennis Hurd Jr. rounding out the top 10. Field starts off on a turn number 4 and heads down the front chute. The leaders already working their way into turn 3 and they are going to come up on slower traffic as Billy Moyer closes in on the leader, Cat Daddy. Clint Smith out of Sonoma, Georgia, looking to take race number 4 away from the 5-time World 100 winner, Billy Moyer, but Moyer closes the gap. Now Mr. Smooth drives a slide job in turn number 4. Will it pay off as they come out of that 4th corner? Clint Smith will return the favor at the line. He'll be lap number 11. So Moyer will go to the top shelf where Dad hides the Playboys. It doesn't work for him that time as Clint Smith holds him off. Now they'll do battle in turn number 3. Moyer on the bottom, Smith on the top. They're within a half a car length of each other across the line. The advantage goes to Clint Smith. He'll get the 2 to lap to go signal this time by as Moyer finds hindsight momentum. Now takes a look underneath Cat Daddy. Billy Moyer will take the lead over, but no caution. Trouble in turn 3. Johnny Johnson in trouble. Clint Smith avoids it. Davey Johnson gets tagged by Terry English. All kinds of trouble in turn number 4. As Johnny Johnson paying the price. Gene Van Wormer sitting on top of turn number 3. And it's Chris Combs' totally destroyed race car in the middle of turns 3 and 4. Johnny Johnson involved in the incident in turn 3. Heavy damage as he tagged the 41 machine of Josh McGuire very hard. 69-year-old native out of West Burlington, Iowa, out of this year's World 100 with severe damage to the front end of his machine. Ready for green, 12 in, 3 remaining. It's still Clint Smith, Billy Moyer, and Davey Johnson. As the green comes out, back underway. Immediately, Moyer goes to work on the top side, trying to get around the Cat Daddy. Now he'll try and dive in the racetrack and dive underneath and going into 3. Moyer has a preferred low line. He'll try the slide job, gets pinched off by Clint Smith, so Smith will lead with the 2 to go signal waiting. Terry English trying to grab the number 3 spot and get into World 100 the easy way, but Davey Johnson holds him off. It's English on the outside looking in. Clint Smith, Billy Moyer, Davey Johnson up front. Terry English, John Gill, and Brian Ruben on the outside looking in with the white flag out and 1 to go. Final time around for race number 4. Clint Smith lets go. Marvin is. He's going to pull away to a 7th car length advantage as Ruben looks underneath Casebolt, trying to get a better advantage in the B-main. He race number 4 goes to the Cat Daddy, Clint Smith. Billy Moyer's going to the big dance. Then it'll be Davey Johnson getting in. English goes to the lead, along with John Gill, Steve Casebolt Jr., Brian Ruben, Brandon Kitzer, Dennis Hurd Jr., Jeep Van Wormer. As the rest of the field crosses the line, going to the World 100, winning race number 4 out of Sonoma, Georgia. In the JP Drilling CSR Aluminum Fabrication Turkey Creek Snacks Base Race Fuels Race Tech Powered GRT Grand Prix, they call him the Cat Daddy, Clint Smith. Number 5 has Billy Drake on the pole with Dale McDowell, Brian Burkhofer, Freddie Smith, Aaron Scott, Ben Atkins, Mark Kurt, Jason Fager, Sean Negengard, Jordan Bland, Scott James, Steve Landrum, Eddie Carrier Jr., Keith Burner, John Blankenship, Michael Bradley, Elvin Hirschberger, Mark Voigt, Jeff Cook, Blake Chin. Green flag is out. We're underway. Everybody hard on the throttle into turn number 1. Coming out up front, it's Dale McDowell. 5 cars, 6 cars battling. There's trouble down the backstretch. Everybody checking up. Wild melee on the backstretch. Jason Fager in the number 25, getting turned around, coming out of turn number 2. No laps in the books. Complete restart to the field. Gets the number 1 spot away from Billy Drake. There goes Freddie Smith to the outside. Can't make the move, so he'll tuck back in line and try him again in that 3rd corner. He opens up the door for Brian Burkhofer, who takes a look underneath, coming on to turn 4. Nothing doing there as a host 2. Ready for green. 1 lap in the books, 14 remaining. Dale McDowell, Billy Drake, and Freddie Smith in transfer spots. Brian Burkhofer, Eric Scott, Scott James, Ben Atkins, and Jordan Bland as the green flag waves back underway. Field will storm off into 1 and 2. Everybody jockeying for position right away now, tucking in line. Up front, it's Dale McDowell, Drake, Freddie Smith, but here comes Berkey. He'll try and get around Smith in 4. The Southern Gentleman playing hard to get. He'll hold off Berkey to that number 3 and final transfer spot. As Burkhofer tripped about the bank, now gets a head full of steam out of 2. Down the back chute and into 3. Brian Burkhofer with the preferred low line working on the Southern Gentleman. Freddie Smith holding him up at the line once again. It's a 5-time dirt track world champion holding on big former World 100 winner. Everybody else trying to gain touch with the leaders to no avail as Dale McDowell is pulled out to a comfortable lead over Billy Drake. Freddie Smith with 3-car length advantage now over Brian Burkhofer. Down the front chute, it's Keith Burner. The Maslin transmission 18 as Ben Atkins rides the wall out of 1. Damage on young Ben Atkins out of Wheelersburg, Ohio. Pieces shredding off the car. Atkins shreds the right rear and he's in the wall in turn 3. Ben Atkins a sitting duck up in turn number 3. His night is over as he'll fall out on lap number 5. Ready for restart on lap 5. Dale McDowell, Billy Drake, Freddie Smith, Brian Burkhofer, Aaron Scott, the top 5. And hammered down out of 4. Green wave back underway. As the field works their way into 1, it's Scott James on the move, looking underneath Aaron Scott, the Silver Shark with damage on the right rear spoiler. Doesn't seem to be affecting him too much as he can keep pace with Aaron Scott. Up front, Brian Burkhofer going to work on Freddie Smith, trying to grab the 3rd and final transfer position. The field continues to work their way around the half-mile high banks as 17-year-old Jordan Bland now has his sights set on the Silver Star Scott James. As Bland in a 12 machine having a stellar run, getting him a good position at least in a B-main if he can't make it into the World 100 through this 15 event. Keith Burner also having a stout effort into number 18. Field single file through the corner and down the back chute into 3. It's Dale McDowell showing the way at the halfway point. 8 laps in and 7 to go. It's Burkhofer on the outside looking in the 15 lead. Can't figure the way around the Southern Gentleman, Freddie Smith. Burkhofer continuing to run forward there. Scott Pitt, Scott James 6, Jordan Bland in the 7th spot. Keith Burner 8, 1.9 to John Blankenship 10. Now, again, Burkhofer looks to the inside of Freddie Smith. Nothing doing out of turn number 2. Freddie Smith driving like a man possessed. Field works their way in through 3 and 4. McDowell and Drake show the way, but it's Freddie Smith putting on the clinic right now for 3rd. Mid-back, it's still a battle between Keith Burner and now Mark Boyd as all of a sudden comes to light. Boyd starting in the number 18 position has worked his way into the top 10. Boyd closing the gap on Keith Burner. Freddie Smith again getting pressure from Brian Burkhofer for the last transferring position. Still, Freddie Smith flexes the muscle. The driver out of Seymour, Tennessee in a white Coach Motorsports sponsor machine, holding down that 3rd and final transfer spot, keeping Burkhofer at bay. 3 laps to go. They'll get the 2 to go signal next time. Burkhofer is not done. Relentless in his pursuit to get a transfer spot the easy way. Getting 3rd away from Freddie Smith, but that task has been anything but easy. As Burkhofer now draws up the heat, coming out of 4th. Smith will hold him off. 2 to go, 13 in the books. White flag the next time by. It's all Dale McDowell and Billy Drake, but the race is still on between Burkhofer and Smith. Smith has the 3rd spot. Burkhofer wants it. White flag comes out to the field. 1 to go. Freddie Smith now running the center through the racetrack, and it seems to have paid off as he has put some distance between himself and Brian Burkhofer. Burkhofer not giving up. As Dale McDowell already working his way on a turn number 4. Checkered flag will go to the Mac Daddy, Dale McDowell. Billy the Kid Drake 2nd. Got Southern Gentleman, Freddie Smith 3rd. Berkey will come on 4th. Aaron Scott 5th. Scott James 6th. Jordan Bland 7th. Keith Burner 8th. Mark Boyd 9th. John Blankenship 10th. Jason Fager 11th. They'll go to B-Mains. But the winner of heat race number 5, the driver out of Chickamauga, Georgia, in the Larry Shaw Race Cars, Dover Cylinder Heads, J&J Steel Race Tech Powered Rocket Chassis, the Mac Daddy Dale McDowell. Sixth and final heat event finds the Winfield Warrior Mike Marlar on the pole in 5M. Jackie Boggs, second generation driver outside the front row. Then it's Showtime Steve Shaver and the real deal Don O'Neill. The Floodwall Flyer Mike Balzano. King Kong Randy Cordy. Paul Harrison the Bartman Bart Hartman. Whitney McQuarrie, Steve Kosiski, the Zero Hero Chris Patterson. Randy Woodley, Jerry Rice, Jeff Taylor, Doug Drown, John Anderson, Cody Mahoney, Dennis Partridge, Scott Nepley, and Shannon Thornsberry. The lineup for this sixth and final heat. The winner will be on the pole of tonight's 35th Annual World 100. Marlar and Boggs bring them into turn 4, lined up perfectly on the hammer green flag. Here we go. Jackie Boggs storms off out front. He'll bring along Marlar and Shaver, O'Neill, Balzano, and Cordy with him. Cordy gets around Balzano, who slipped up. That opened the door for Bart Hartman. Hartman will go by Balzano as they work on a turn number 4. Now Don O'Neill gets sideways. Showtime will get around O'Neill. So Steve Shaver all of a sudden has come to life, and Shaver takes over third from Randy Cordy. It's Hartman and O'Neill battling side by side. The real deal showing the way as Marlar got in the wall. Mike Marlar put the 5M up into the concrete. He'll continue on it. Jackie Boggs is running wild. It's O'Neill and Hartman battling it out for the number 5 spot. Randy Woodley got in the wall at 2. Gathered it back up. We stay under green. Bart Hartman and Don O'Neill continue their war for the number 5 spot. The advantage to O'Neill. Now Hartman will look underneath, and the barman not able to get it done. Caution flag comes out as Randy Woodley puts the Economy Motors 3W down by the entrance in turn number 4 to bring out the caution. Ready for the restart. Jackie Boggs, Mike Marlar, Steve Shaver, Randy Cordy, and Don O'Neill, the top 5. Out of 4 they come, they look for green, it comes out, here we go. Bart Hartman on the move as he gets underneath Randy Cordy, but Cordy will use high side momentum. Hartman opened up the door for Don O'Neill, who will slip around him down the back chute into 3. So Don O'Neill regains the number 5 spot. Hartman back to 6th. 4 laps now officially going in the books. It's Jeff Taylor, the number 5 on the move. Got by Mike Balzano, looked underneath Jerry Rice. Couldn't get it done, so he'll get back in line in turn 3. Now Taylor again will dive underneath Rice. He'll do the slide job in turn 4. It'll pay off. So Jeff Taylor will pick up a position on Jerry Rice. Now Rice tried it down to the inside of 1, nothing doing as he got cooked coming out of that second corner. Up front, it's Jackie Boggs with the lead. Mike Marlar running a solid second, but feeling the pressure from Showtime Steve Shaver. Now Shaver tries to cut into Marlar's second place spot. He can't get it done. He'll tuck back in line. Boggs showing the way with Marlar in hot pursuit. Shaver in third. Cordy on the outside looking in. Then it's Steve Shaver. Don O'Neill along with Bart Hartman. Taylor and McQuarrie battling side by side as the rest of the field works out of turn 4. Once again going to work. Steve Shaver looks at Mike Marlar but still can't get it done. We're at the halfway point. Shaver has been shadowing Marlar for the last 3 laps, but to no avail as the 2 5 machines come together. Jeff Taylor and Whitney McQuarrie, they get it all straightened out and tucked back in line coming out of turn 4. Taylor has the advantage on Whitrock as they make their way down the front chute. The caution flag flies. Debris reported in turn number 1 as some of the drivers running it over, so that'll bring the caution out with 9 in the books and 6 remaining. Ready for the restart. Jackie Boggs, Mike Marlar, and Steve Shaver with transfer spots. Cordy, O'Neill, Hartman wanting them as the green waves back underway. It's Don O'Neill on the move in 71, tries to get around Randy Cordy, almost contact as they had to take evasive action. Bart Hartman now getting in the thick of the battle once again. Don O'Neill almost catching disaster, and it definitely cost him as Bart Hartman has got a good line on him, but O'Neill able to hold him off. It's only going 5th, Bart Hartman running in 6th. Those two drivers continue their war for the 5th spot. On to O'Neill for most of this race. Hartman can look underneath O'Neill but can't get around it, and Jeff Taylor now starting to close the gap on the Bartman. So Jeff Taylor having a solid run in the 5 machine after starting in 14th. Has worked his way up into the top 7. Jeff Taylor flexing a lot of muscle in his 6th and final heat event. Won't have enough to get a top 3, but he'll have a very good starting spot in the B main a little bit later. It's Jackie Boggs out front. White flag is out to the field, 1 lap remaining. Boggs looking to sit on the pole for the 35th annual World 100. He's got 2 corners left to negotiate. He'll slide off the bank in turn number 4. Checker flag wave. Jackie Boggs is on the pole. Mike Marlar second and Steve Shaver third. They're going to the world. Then it's Randy Gordy, Don O'Neill, Bart Hartman, Jeff Taylor, Whitney McQuarrie, Jerry Rice, and Chris Patterson. Winning the 6th and final heat race and sitting on the pole for the World 100 out of Grayson, Kentucky, and the Miller Brothers, Cole McDonald, Steve Cassio Racing, Cropper Powered Swartz Chassis, the 4B of Jackie Boggs. First of 2 B mains on the racetrack. It'll be a 20-lap dash with the top 4 cars going to the 35th annual World 100. Rest of the field will become spectators. R.J. Conley has the pole with Ray Cook on the outside. Then it's Aaron Scott and Delvis Conley in row 2. Kevin Weaver and Scott James in row 3. Wes Steininger and Terry Phillips row 4. Jordan Bland, Jerry Bowersock in row 5. Jeremy Williams, Keith Burner in row 6. Then it's Tim Hinton, Skip Arp, Mark Boyd, Tony Marks, Hot Rod Conley, John Blankenship, Jeff Floyd, Daryl Lanigan, Jason Fager, Josh Williams, Audie McWilliams, and Steve Landrum set for green. R.J. Conley and Ray Cook bring the field nicely into turn number 3. Everybody tucks underneath everybody's rear deck lid. This is the final chance for these drivers to get in. Only 4 will go, and the green flag waves and the hammer is down. B-main number 1 underway. Storming into that first corner, Scott James, a big plume of smoke coming out of the Silver Sharks. Powell Motorsports Baylor Trucker 83. It continues on, but heavy smoke billowing from Scott James' ride. As we stay under green, Scott James with all kinds of problems. Oil continues to wind around the half-mile high banks. The smoke not affecting James' ride so far as he closes in on Kevin Weaver and Wes Steininger. Weaver to the top side of turn 3, Steininger underneath him. Both of those cars now closing in on Delvis Conley in the 71 and up front. It's Ray Cook with the lead. R.J. Conley running second. Aaron Scott running third. Delvis Conley fourth. Steininger and Weaver battle it out for that 5th spot. Kevin Weaver in the B12. Wes Steininger in the 1 chasing the elder statesman of the Conley clan. Delvis Conley at 71. Neither driver giving up an inch. Weaver and Steininger continue side by side. Now Weaver gets the advantage, pulls away from Wes Steininger, and Scott James comes to rest down the front stretch. He has pulled the 83 machine out. We stay under green. Up in the wall. Trouble in turn number 4. Caution flag coming out. So the caution waves on lap number 4. As the car resting at the top of the turn, field now slowing down, everybody getting around the bent machine up into that 4th corner. And Jerry Bowersock's 95J machine limping off the wall as he brings out the first caution of B-main number 1, the driver out of Wapakoneta, Ohio, done for this event. Ready for the restart, Ray Cook brings R.J. Conley and Aaron Scott along with him. Delvis Conley, Kevin Weaver, Wes Steininger, and Terry Phillips as the green comes back out. Once again underway in this first of 2 B-mains. Kevin Weaver looks underneath Delvis Conley, but Wes Steininger has designs on that position as well. Delvis Conley has the 4th and final transfer spot. Veteran Kevin Weaver wants it. Here comes Wes Steininger. He'll slip underneath Weaver. Can't make it stick as Weaver will pull it down the front chute and into lunch. Steininger gets another bite down low. Still can't get by Kevin Weaver, who uses high side momentum to stay right on the rear deck lid of Delvis Conley. Conley holding him off, but Weaver working underneath Borders out of 4. Delmas Conley a hold-off leader. Now Terry Phillips looking underneath Wes Steininger. Phillips gets a good fight. He'll take the spot away from Steininger who has to get on the binders. Back on the loud battle. Steininger not giving up as Terry Phillips got around him. But Wes Steininger will throw his hat in the ring to get back around. It won't happen as they work their way out of turn number 4. Now Steininger has the company of Jordan Bland. The young man out of Kentucky, 17 years old in the 12 machine. He'll take a bit of Wes Steininger in the 1 car. It won't be good enough to get into World 100, but it will pick him up another spot in the lineup. It's Ray Cook, R.J. Conley, and Aaron Scott. Darrell Lanigan on the move. He's to the outside of Keith Burner. The Bluegrass Bandit out of Union, Kentucky will step around Keith Burner. One more position for Darrell Lanigan who started 20th. Still a long way to go. Halfway next time around. Now he goes to work on the Howard Conley and Skipper. Lanigan all of a sudden that's mounted on the bottom and it's working. He gets around Arp. Now looks at Howard Conley in the 71R, but Arp battles back to the inside of Lanigan. They'll go wheel to wheel, door to door, and fender to fender in turn number 4. This time Skip Arp will slide by Darrell Lanigan. So Skip Arp playing Indian giver with Lanigan. He'll take the spot back away that he lost 1 lap ago. Lanigan says not so fast. I'll grab you on the outside. Into turn 3, Lanigan slams the door in Arp's face. The door opens up for Rod Conley, but Lanigan can't walk through the threshold. Darrell Lanigan, 20th starter, trying to crack his way up into the top 4. He's got a long way to go with 12 in the books and 8 remaining. Rod Conley stands in Lanigan's way of getting 1 spot closer to the front. Lanigan using a low line to get around Eldora Speedway, and it's worked for him throughout this B-Main. He'll switch gears and go to the top side to get around Hot Rod. That'll pay off for Lanigan. He's got the car dialed in. It'll get around Hot Rod Conley, so Darrell Lanigan closing the gap. Lanigan has worked his way tonight. Jordan Bland to the outside of Mark Boyd. He'll dispose of him in turn number 2. Lanigan on the move. He'll look at Mark Boyd next in line in the 30 machine and try and get around him as well, coming into turn number 4. Darrell Lanigan, a man possessed. 14 in the books, 6 to go, and Lanigan has been the show in B-Main number 1. From a long ways back, Darrell Lanigan continuing to pick them off 1 at a time. Now Jordan Bland gets crossed up right in front of Mark Boyd. That's going to allow Lanigan to close the gap and open the door for Boyd. Boyd can't do it. Lanigan says, I'll try on the outside. He'll tuck in line behind Mark Boyd. 16 laps in the books. Time winding down on Darrell Lanigan, who has put on a show. Continues to work his magic around Eldora Speedway. He's got the young gun Jordan Bland in front of him and the veteran Mark Boyd ahead of Bland. Now Lanigan will take a look to the outside. Now he'll dive down low underneath. Darrell Lanigan continues his assault on the field, gets around Bland, sets his sights on Mark Boyd with 17 in the books. 3 to go. Ray Cook will be coming down for the 2 to go signal. Lanigan gets around Bland. Darrell Lanigan continues to work his magic. White flag coming out this time by for Ray Cook, who's in turn 3. Cook working on John Blankenship, about to put him 1 lap in arrears. White flag is out, 1 lap to go for the Tar Heel Tiger, Ray Cook. Ray Cook almost gets into John Blankenship, has to get on the binders. Tries to tiptoe around him, dives underneath in turn number 4. Going to a World 100 winning B-Main number 1, the Tar Heel Tiger, Ray Cook. Second place at R.J. Conley. Third to Aaron Scott. And 4th will go to Delmas Conley. They're in the big dance tonight. Terry Phillips 5th. Kevin Weaver 6th. Wes Steininger 7th. 8th goes to Mark Boyd. 9th to Darrell Lanigan. 10th to Jordan Bland. But going to the World 100, the driver out of Brasstown, North Carolina, the Jackie Jones Huddle House Dodge Power, number 53 of Ray Cook. Second and final B-Main as Dan Schleifer, Terry English, Randy Cordy, Timmy McCready, John Gill, Don O'Neill, Dwayne Chamberlain, Steve Casebolt, Bart Hartman, Donnie Moran, Brian Roman, Jeff Taylor. Field is underway with the green. Here we go. Terry English steps to the outside of the Wisconsin Wildman, Dan Schlieper. English will take the number 1 spot. Now Cordy goes to work on Schlieper for second. Timmy McCready to the outside of the 75 of John Gillis. Cordy smacks the wall. McCready and O'Neill go 3 wide down the front stretch. It's O'Neill on the bottom, McCready in the middle, Cordy on the top side. Randy Cordy stepping around Timmy McCready. He'll tuck in line with Don O'Neill, hot on his tail. Now O'Neill looks underneath McCready for the number 5 spot. The real O'Neill trying to take it away from T-Mac. The war for the 5th spot continues to go on and is now won by McCready. Here comes Bart Hartman underneath Jeff Taylor. Again, the Bart man who battled with Don O'Neill in his heat event has caught the real deal. So the Bart man, Bart Hartman, is going to have to get around Steve Casewell Jr. because O'Neill is just his first of the C9 of Steve Casewell Jr. But Casewell will battle back. 2 Indiana natives going at it side by side. Casewell returns the favor in turn number 3 as O'Neill smacks the wall. Casewell right up against the concrete. Now Jeff Taylor had a solid run in his heat event. Looks underneath Don O'Neill. It's Taylor on the bottom, O'Neill on the top. He'll go wheel to wheel with O'Neill getting the advantage in the 3. Bart Hartman all the while is closing the gap on the battle between Jeff Taylor and Don O'Neill. He'll work their way out of fourth. Donnie Moran with right rear spoiler damage. Sheet metal just hanging from the $1 Million Man's mount as he gets around Brian Roman. So Donnie Moran with damage on the machine continues around. O'Neill spins in turn number 4. O'Neill has looped it at the bottom of turn 4. Caution has not come out as O'Neill is sitting at the bottom of the 4th corner. Field continues to work their way around. We stay under green. Terry English, Dan Schlieper, John Gill the top 3. Then it's Randy Cordy, Timmy McCready, and the yellow flag waves. As Don O'Neill gets the car refired, caution flag is out. Ready for restart. 7 in the books, 13 remaining. Terry English, Dan Schlieper, John Gill, top 3. Randy Corder's got the 4th and final transfer spot as we're back underway. Jimmy McCready wasting no time. He'll look underneath Cordy. He'll grab the number 4 spot. Now takes a look at John Gill. But Randy Cordy battles back to the outside. King Kong trying to make it a 3-way wedge in turn 3. It's McCready on the low side. Cordy in the middle. Gill on the high side. Cordy pays the price as McCready again will take the 4th and final transfer spot. Not satisfied. T-Mac looks underneath John Gill, the modern day cowboy. But here comes King Cordy to the inside. He'll get underneath Timmy McCready. He'll take the 4th spot back away from topside Timmy. Now Steve Casewell Jr. and Jim Taylor get up ahead of Steve and try and catch the 3rd and 4th place cars. As Casewell slides underneath the hill handling Jeff Taylor, so Steve Casewell Jr. takes over the number 6 position. Timmy McCready again going to work underneath King Kong. Cordy, Taylor working on Casewell, and Matt Miller comes to life. He'll get around the 1 of Dwayne Chamberlain. So the Waterville Warrior will dispose of Dwayne Chamberlain down the backstretch and into 3. Matt Miller looking to get in the World 100. He's got a long way to go. With 11 laps in the books and 9 remaining. Miller looks underneath the 5 of Taylor. Will dispose of him in turn 2. Now Miller gets his sights set on Casewell as Taylor continues to hound Miller. But Matt Miller wants no part of it. He wants Steve Casewell Jr. as his next victim. Down the front chute. Matt Miller will take the low temp rating McCullough Industries number 7 machine to the middle of the racetrack. Casewell in front of him. He currently runs in the number 6 spot. Matt Miller in 7, running 7. Up front it's still English, Schlieper, Gill, and Randy Cordy with transfer spots. But it's Timmy McCready, Steve Casewell Jr., and Matt Miller, the ones on the move. Now McCready closes the gap on Cordy with a 4th and final transfer spot. Timmy McCready out of Watertown, New York in the Sweeteners Plus ride. Feeling a little sour right now as the caution flag comes out when he gets a caution for debris in turn number 1. So 13 in the books, 7 to go. English, the class of the field, has this track down to a science as we go back to green. Out of 4 they come, we're underway. Jimmy McCready right away goes to work underneath Randy McCourty, and McCready will grab 2 for the price of 1 out of turn 2. He'll go from 5th to 3rd. John Gill battles back to the inside, the modern day cowboy, spanking his horse for all it's worth. He'll grab the number 3 spot away from McCready. Here comes Matt Miller. Miller got around Corey. It's Miller time now as he goes to work on Jimmy McCready. McCready looks underneath John Gill for 3rd. Matt Miller on the move. Miller closes in on the rear deck lid of McCready. McCready has the 4th and final transfer spot. He's on the bubble. Not satisfied with 4th. He'll continue to work on John Gill. Gill will swim upstream in the 3rd spot. He'll hold off McCready. Then it's Matt Miller, Randy Cordy, Jeff Taylor, and Steve Case Wolf Jr. It's McCready in the bubble position, running in 4th with Matt Miller hounding him. Miller had to start way in the back of this one inside of row 7, 13th starting position. And Miller works his magic on the bottom of McCready, holds him off with topside momentum. Now McCready gets rid of Matt Miller and goes right back to work on the top. Smacks the wall, sparks fly, but McCready can hold off Miller one more time. John Gill has no idea what's going on behind him, but he can see what's going around him. It's Jimmy McCready. He'll grab the 3rd spot away from Gill. So now Gill has to battle back. Battle for the lead up front. Sleeper looked underneath English. English will have nothing to do with that. She'll hold up the Wisconsin Wild Man. 2 laps to go. White flag the next time by. Terry English, Dan Sleeper, Timmy McCready, and John Gill the top 4. Matt Miller on the outside looking in. Out of 4 they come. White flag is out, 1 to go. John Gill with the 4th and final transfer spot. Can hear the roar of the Russell Baker engine of Matt Miller. This is his final time around the racetrack. One of these 2 drivers will not get in. Terry English brings him out of 4. He'll win B main 2 as Matt Miller gets around him. It's English, Sleeper, McCready, Matt Miller, John Gill on the outside looking in. Randy Cordy, Jeff Taylor, Steve Gatesville Jr., Bart Hartman, Dwayne Chamberlain, Brian Ruman, and Whitney McQuarrie. What a move by Matt Miller to grab 4th and get into World 100, but picking up the win, the driver out of Benton, Kentucky, in the AAA fence, Larry C. Auto Sales, number 96, it's Terry English.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
The legend Earl Baldus gave the command to fire engines to this history-making 28-car field. They're approaching turns 3 and 4 with that familiar 4-wide formation. 4 abreast, 7 rows deep for the first time ever at Eldora Speedway. The 35th annual World 100 field coming out of turn number 4, 4 wide. And the crowd is on their feet. Splash bulbs are being shot all over the racetrack. They are giving this historic field a send-off as they come down the front chute. Drivers waving back to those fans, letting them know that they appreciate them turning out. Starting lineup for this historic event. On the pole, Jackie Boggs in the Ford B out of Grayson, Kentucky. Dale McDowell out of Chickamauga, Georgia at 17M goes 2nd. Then it's Cat Daddy Clint Smith at 44, starting 3rd. Shannon Babb in the 18 goes 4th. Starting 5th, Darren Miller in 32D. Defending champion Chuck Frank in 1 star going 6th. Jimmy Owens in 20 starts 7th. Josh Richards in 1 goes 8th. Greg Johnson in 19 will start 9th, and 5-time World 100 winner Billy Moyer goes 10th. Then it's Billy Drake in 9, starting 11th. Mike Marlar starting 12th in 5M. 13th, it's Brad Need at 41. 14th, Shane Clanton at 25. Rick Ecker goes 15th at 24. 16th, Davey Johnson at 19J. 17th, Freddie Smith at 00. 18th, Steve Shaver at 0. 19th, Jimmy Mars at 28. 20th, Brian Burkhofer at 15B. 21st, Ray Cook at 53. 22nd, Terry English at 96. 23rd, RJ Conley at 71C. 24th, Dan Schlaper at 9. 25th, Aaron Scott in 1, 26th, Tim McCready at 39, 27th, it's Delmas Conley at 71, and 28th, Matt Miller at 7, Josh Richards had a flat tire on the right rear during the warm-up lap. Well, Josh Richards has rejoined the field in his number 8 starting spot. That's where he will fire from, the youngest driver in the field at age 17. As the field makes their way around turn number 2, the 28 charter members of the Fraternal Order of Go Fast will take the green on this 35th annual World 100. First time in history, 28 cars will see the furled green flag. Jackie Boggs, Dale McDowell on the front row. The field now bunches up in turn number 3. And history is about to be made as the 35th annual World 100 Outdoor Speedway takes the green. Jackie Boggs storms up into turn number 1, leading the field. Everybody in full song down the backstretch. Dale McDowell takes a look underneath Boggs for the lead. They'll go side by side in turn 4. Lap number 1 goes to the driver out of Grayson, Kentucky. It's Boggs, McDowell, Babb, Smith, then Darren Miller in the top 5. Chuck Frank 6 and Babb almost got in the wall. Clint Smith, Darren Miller battling it out for the number 4 spot. Chuck Frank running in 6. He's on Darren Miller's heels as they go into turn 3. Shunzilla smacks the wall as sparks fly, and we continue on. Got a Cat Daddy to the outside of Darren Miller, trying to grab the number 4 spot away. Cat Daddy, Clint Smith out of Sonoma, Georgia. Works the 44 machine down the backstretch. He'll take over the number 4 spot. Chuck Frank running in the number 5 position. Josh Richards 6. Jimmy Owens running 7. Greg Johnson running 8. Billy Moyer 9. Now Greg Johnson goes to work on Jimmy Owens. The Wild Fang out of Bedford, Indiana. The High Pro Racing Fuels B&M Salvage number 19. Working on Owens. Here comes 5-time winner Billy Moyer to the inside of Johnson. Mr. Smooth will try and get around the Wild Thing, but nothing to it. High side momentum will keep the 19 ahead of Billy Moyer. Mikey Marlar, teammate this weekend to Billy Moyer in the Billy Moyer Racing Machine. He'll go to work on the 5-time winner. He'll bring along Billy Drake for the ride, along with Rick Eggert in the 24. 5 cars slicing and dicing in the top 10 as Eggert looks underneath Billy the Kid Drake. Can't make the pass, so he'll tuck back in line. Follow him into that 3rd corner. Now Scrub takes a look inside Billy the Kid. Won't make it happen coming out of 4. Drake playing Duck Duck Goose in the corner and coming out on top. Drake gets his feathers ruffled a little bit by Eggert, but pulls away into turn 3. Now it's Eggert on the bottom. Marlar on the top, Drake in the middle. Mike Marlar holds up the 9 of Billy Drake as they work that battle into turns 1 and 2. Drake on the inside, but the high side momentum is where it's at right now with the 5M of Mike Marlar. Marlar holding off Billy Drake, who's giving him a lot of grief on the bottom of the racetrack. But Marlar stands up to the challenge. He'll continue that middle line. Drake will ride it on the bottom. Mike Marlar holding him off as they head down the back chute. 10 laps go in the books. It's still Dale McDowell chasing Jackie Boggs and Josh Richards in trouble. The hand is out. The young man out of Shinston, West Virginia, in the Sawyer Calf Ranches. MCB Motorsports rocket chassis number 1 pulls up lane at the top of turn 1. Now makes the ill-fated left-hand turn towards the pit area. So Josh Richards in trouble early on with officially 9 laps in the books. Brian Burkhofer has worked his way from the 20th starting spot, now running 13th behind Jimmy Marceau. He's making his way towards the front, but it's Dale McDowell that brings the field now out of turn number 4. The new leader will see the green flag first, and we're back underway. Right away, Billy Moyer goes to work underneath Chuck Frank. Moyer trying to make his way into the top 5. Chuck Frank has it. Billy Moyer wants it. But Chuck Zilla, defending champion, will look underneath Cat Daddy Clint Smith. They're wheel-to-wheel, door-to-door, out of 4. Won't happen for Chuck Frank. Rick Eggert, Jimmy Owens, Greg Johnson all doing battle. It's Eggert underneath Jimmy Owens. So Rick Eggert comes to life now into Ray Best Excavating rocket chassis, but Greg Johnson's going to make it a 3-car battle in turn 3. Eggert on the bottom. Owens on the top side and nowhere to go for Greg Johnson. Eggert has now got the handling package down. Looks underneath Billy Moyer for 6. Rick Eckert coming to light as 21 laps are in the book. Still a long way to go, but Eckert making a statement early on. He wants to get in the top 5. Moyer says not quite so fast. I've won this event 5 times. You're going to have to work to get around me, young man. And Eckert obliges him by going to the bottom of the racetrack. Moyer will stay on the top side. The 2 veterans will go wheel to wheel and door to door in turn 3. Moyer up high, Eckert down low. They'll stay side by side coming out of that 4th corner. The advantage just by a nose to Billy Moyer, but Eckert has the preferred low line. He's using it to his advantage, getting ever so close to getting around Moyer. Moyer using the tires a little bit more on the top side of the racetrack. Eckert inserts them on the bottom. We'll see if it pays off for Scrub again. They come to the line, the advantage again to Moyer by a nose. Rick Eckert tries his thing down on the bottom, and Brian Burkhofer is definitely on the move. He's got company with Mike Marlar and Greg Johnson, though, as Burkhofer won this event a few years back, taking a last lap past to win the event out of turn 4. All of a sudden, he's gotten his way into the top 10, and Brian Burkhofer continues his assault on the field. Moyer gets passed by Eckert as they go into 3. So Rick Eckert takes over the number 6 position. Billy Moyer back to 7th. 8th place is Jimmy Owens. 9th is Burkhofer, and 10th is Mike Marlar. Billy Drake continues his strong run. He'll take the number 11 spot away from Johnson, but Johnson will steal it right back down the back, shooting into 3. So Greg Johnson goes back to 11th. 12th spot is Drake, but Drake not done yet. He'll use the Rick Eckert line on the bottom. Johnson stays up top. It's the Wild Thing and the Kid going at it side by side. Still Greg Johnson holding the position on Billy Drake. Brad Mead having a solid run down in the 41. It's the Dunville, Kentucky driver. He tries to keep pace. Johnson holding off Drake. Drake will keep it on the bottom. Brad Mead will follow that battle. Dale McDowell, race leader, getting into slower traffic now as he approaches the number 1 machine of Aaron Scott. The Newark Nightmare about to get lapped by the Mac Daddy. As McDowell will slide under him and slide down in turn number 4. Darren Miller running it into number 2 spot. Shannon Babb all over him as Babb trying to grab that 2nd position away. Shannon Babb changed the power plant after his heat event, and it has paid off for him as the Molepo Missile sits in the number 3 position. Miller will get around Aaron Scott. Shannon Babb will come along for the ride. It's Dale McDowell, Darren Miller, Shannon Babb, Clint Smith, Chuck Frank, and Rick Eckert battling for 5th. Billy Moore at 7th, Jimmy Owens 8th, Brian Burkhofer 9th, Mike Marlar 10th. Now Delmas Conley will go a lap down to Dale McDowell and Darren Miller and Shannon Babb. A handful of steering wheel in turn 4. Babb tiptoes around now underneath Delmas Conley. So Shannon Babb having his hands full with the veteran out of Wheelersburg, Ohio, slingshots him in turn number 3. Babb gets off the launching pad and